Hi everyone, in this video I will talk about New Year's ritual for your space. When we think of New Year's, we automatically think of January 1st. That is because we all follow the Gregorian calendar like the rest of the world. January 1st marks the start of a new year, a reason to celebrate, wipe the slate clean, and start brand new. Even though the same can be said about the significance of January 1st in Asia, it is not anywhere close to the level of festivities that go into the Lunar New Year celebration. However, the actual date of the Lunar New Year can vary from year to year, and the range is actually pretty wide. Lunar New Year can fall any day between January 21st through February 20th. So why is Lunar New Year not on January 1st? Well, during the agricultural age, farmers will observe the waxing and waning of the moon to track the passage of time. While the moon phases are predictable from month to month, it was not very accurate in predicting seasonal transitions. Temperature fluctuation is vital information that lets the farmer know when to plant their seeds, harvest their crops, and everything else in between. So to remedy that, the solar calendar was adopted to account for the year and the seasonality based on the Earth's rotation around the sun in about 365 and a quarter days. This was much more reliable in predicting the seasonal transition. The only issue was that the lunar and solar calendar did not align exactly. So a luni-solar calendar was created to sync the two calendars. You may also hear them referenced as the yin-yang calendar or the agricultural or farming calendar. As you can see, a thorough understanding of the cycles of nature was vital in agriculture and for survival in general. Traditionally, Lunar New Year represents the start of spring. This is also the reason why Lunar New Year is also referred to as Spring Festival, because from an agricultural standpoint, it is the time of year where farmers will plant new seeds and lay the foundation for the upcoming year, which resembles the modern-day practice of setting goals at the start of the new year. The difference is that a big part of the Lunar New Year celebration is in the preparation for the festivities. So in this video, I want to share some of my personal practices to help set the tone and intention for the new year. This is by no means an all-encompassing representation of every Lunar New Year tradition. So take what works for you and leave the rest. Let's get started. The first thing I recommend is to check next year's energy and figure out how you can adjust your living space to avoid the negative influences. To do this, it is best to have your floor plan handy, update it with your current furniture arrangement, and the general direction of each space. You can figure that out by standing in the center of your space with your compass and rotate to each direction to get an accurate reading. You can also do this without a floor plan, but I find it a lot easier to use a floor plan, especially if you want to get others on board before you make any changes. By the way, if you want to follow along for your space, you can get next year's energetic blueprint in the description below. Okay, after you have your floor plan and next year's energetic blueprint, you'll want to look at the direction where the number 5 star, the 3 killing, the Grand Duke, and the Year Breaker reside. Specifically, we are checking for 3 aspects. Number 1, which rooms are safe to use? Number 2, which directions are safe to face? And number 3, from an external perspective, which directions are safe for a renovation? So you might ask, what exactly is the number 5 star? Well, the number 5 star, which I've mentioned in my previous videos, is one of the most malicious energies that can impact your health, relationship, and your finances. The direction of the number 5 star takes up 45 degrees. So wherever they land each year, you'll want to take proactive steps to minimize their impact on you and your family. That includes adding a sulcure, avoiding renovation in this sector, and minimizing the usage of this space as much as possible. 3 killing is another direction to watch out for because it represents obstacles, setbacks, and calamities. The 3 killing direction covers 90 degrees. Similar to the number 5 star, you can minimize the negative effect by adding a salt cure and minimizing the usage of this area as much as possible. However, it is okay to sit facing the 3 killing direction. The Grand Duke represents the ruler of the year, which means we have to make sure not to confront the Grand Duke by facing the Grand Duke direction or offend the Grand Duke by renovating in the Grand Duke sector, which covers 15 to 22.5 degrees. The year breaker is directly opposite the Grand Duke, which means it is the direction that is confronting the Grand Duke. The year breaker can negatively impact your finances or cause unexpected spending if afflicted. It is best to minimize this area's usage, keep it quiet, so there's no renovation, and avoid facing this direction. So once you have identified these directions, you can cross-reference them to your floor plan. This is when we work with our space and figure out if using an alternative room is possible and or change the furniture arrangement to minimize our exposure. First, check if any of your main living spaces, like your living room or your bedroom, are located in one of these afflicted directions. And if that is the case and avoiding this area is not possible, then I would check the seating arrangement to ensure you are not also facing the afflicted directions. In Feng Shui, we focus a lot on exposure. Our goal is to maximize our exposure to the best sectors and best directions. Think of negative energy as a smoke-filled room. Ideally, you'll want to use a different room, but if that is not possible, the next best thing that you can do is to face away from the source of the smoke. I want to note here that avoiding every afflicted direction can be very difficult, if not impossible. Certain years may be easier than others, where the afflicted directions may overlap with one another. In other years, it is less so. The permanent energy of your space is also very important to take into account. The permanent energy always has priority over the annual energy, because regardless of how good or bad the energy is for one direction in a particular year, it may indicate otherwise on your permanent energy chart. So following the annual recommendation without consulting your permanent energy will not be as beneficial. Plus, the complexity of your layout and its innate structure can create even more restrictions on how and what you can move. So all that is to say is to do the best you can with the space you have, and consult a professional if you are considering major rearrangements before you base all of your decisions on the annual Feng Shui recommendations. So after you have your layout finalized, the next step is to select an auspicious date to rearrange the furniture. Ideally, the date is personalized to you and your family based on your birth chart. This is especially important if you plan to move your bed. After all the dust has settled from rearranging your layout, you can then start to deep clean your space. The significance of this process is to shake up your space. Reach into every nook and cranny that has been collecting dust all year and inject some new energy. The goal is to clear out the stale energy so that your space can welcome the fresh energy from the new year. Once your space is prepared energetically for the new year, now is the time to start considering your personal goals and intentions. A good practice to pair with is to check your bazi, which is Chinese astrology, against the goals you've set for the new year. Your annual Chinese astrology can give you insight into areas of your life that you should pursue further and areas where you should take more caution. This way, you can adjust your goals and expectations accordingly to maximize your success rate. Now, I'm not just talking about checking the zodiac sign for your year of birth. That is very surface level and one size fits all astrology. In Bazi, there are 8 characters in your natal chart. The annual astrological prediction only focuses on one of the 8 characters, so it is more for entertainment than something to take seriously. A proper annual Bazi review considers the 8 characters from your natal chart plus 2 characters from your decade pillar. Then we layer on an additional 2 characters from the annual pillar plus 2 characters from each monthly pillar to break down the highs and lows for the next year. As with everything in Chinese metaphysics, it is always more complicated than it seems. So the rule of thumb is to take recommendations that are customized to you rather than generalized to your group. I hope this gives you a glimpse into one version of the Lunar New Year practice. And for those of you who only celebrate New Year on January 1st, know that Lunar New Year is always around the corner, and it can be your second chance to start the new year. If you like this video, you might also enjoy my video on how to create more luck. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.